Oh, God.
Go to the Trade Center.
I believe this is happening.
We have a very tragic alert for you right now. An incredible plane crash into the World Trade Center here at the lower tip of Manhattan.
It's believed a 737 has crashed into this speculation at this point, but at least 3 floors taken out, crashed into the side of the building. Joining us right now, one of the producers with Fox Report, Owen Mugen on the scene. Owen, what do you know? What do you see? Where are you?
Yeah, Brian, I'm on the roof of my building, which is about 5 blocks to the south of the World Trade Center. I'm looking right now at the World Trade Center. There's a massive gaping hole on the second tower. It's about 15 stories from the roof. It's just unbelievable to look at.
I seen that jet go right in.
You can just see it right now. You can see emergency vehicles tearing south on the West Side Highway, heading towards the scene. There are tons of people in the streets. There are papers, things fluttering out. I can't see any evidence of what it was that could have crashed. All I can see is just this massive gaping hole with tons of black smoke falling out of the building.
All we can do is stare aghast at these pictures at this point. You are looking at the north building of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in Manhattan. These are coming to you live now. Debris raining down from 110 floors up. As you can see, this is a clear blue sky day in Manhattan. If this was an accident, it would be a needle in a haystack kind of accident. There was another one. We just saw another one. We just saw another one apparently go. Another plane just flew into the second tower. This has to be deliberate, folks. We just saw on live television as a second plane flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center. Now, given what has been going on around the world, some of the key suspects come to mind. Osama bin Laden. Who knows what? Eric Shawn is with us. Eric, I know you have a lot of sources at the FBI and other agencies like that. What can you tell us?
Well, first, I apologize for being out of breath because I was walking down Fifth Avenue, which is close to our studios, and I heard a jet, perhaps a 737 or a small Airbus, flying low, unusually low over Fifth Avenue, making a right. I'm not going to say, I don't know, I don't have any reports on what type of plane hit the World Trade Center, but people looked up and it made a right toward the building.
Nice and orderly, nice and orderly.
It is a tragedy. It is abhorrent. It is disgusting. But
I'm wondering, are these pilots terrorists themselves? Are there terrorists in the cockpit who are holding guns to a pilot's head? Did they
I can't imagine.
You can speculate completely about how this happens, because obviously it takes a lot of training and expertise to fly a complicated, sophisticated aircraft, whether it's a Boeing 737 or a smaller Airbus. These are not little Cessnas and little Pipers. So you have to wonder and raise what possibility there is with the type of scenario that was going on in the cockpit.
Our Wendell Goler is at the White House, make that Sarasota. He is traveling with the president. Wendell Goler, what's the reaction from the president?
John, the president is here promoting a reading initiative on the second day of a 2-day trip to Florida. He just finished reading to some children at the Emma Booker Elementary School and was asked about the incident. He said he was aware of it and that he would have something to say about it later.
Let's bring in David Lee Miller, our correspondent. He has an eyewitness with him. David Lee, what can you tell us?
Good morning, John. I'm a few blocks from the World Trade Center right now. As you would expect, all the roadways are pretty much cut off. The only way to get near the buildings is on foot right now. The scene is absolutely a horrific one. You have people streaming out of the area. You've got people literally in tears and shock. People that just work in the nearby buildings that cannot believe what has happened. Still, many of them remember the terrorist attack years ago on the World Trade Center, and many of them, this is just an ugly reminder of that, although the details of what happened here are not certain. As I was walking downtown in Lower Manhattan, making my way to the World Trade Centers, I stopped to speak to Sylvia Fuentes. She's with me right now. We're a few blocks away from the building. She works in Lower Manhattan. She used to work in the Trade Center, and I'm going to actually hand her the telephone right now, and she's going to describe for us what she saw this morning as she was arriving at work. Sylvia?
I heard a loud rumbling, and when I walked out of the deli onto Fulton Street, I looked up in the air. There was an airplane actually going into the World Trade Center, and flames were coming out, and smoke was just billowing in the air, and tons of people were running down Fulton Street, just running each other over, and I made my way back to my office on Water Street, and when I got upstairs, I looked out my window to see what was going on, and the Second World Trade Center just went into flames, just from 1 minute to the next.
Sylvia, thanks for that eyewitness report. When we saw that second plane slam into the second tower intentionally, quite clearly, you got to believe this is a terrorist attack. Harvey Kushner is on the line with us. He's a frequent guest of ours and a terrorism expert. Harvey, is it too early to speculate about suspects?
One thinks only that this could be the most horrifically planned incident, in the annals of terrorism against the United States. Think about it. I mean, you look outside the Fox studios. Look how clear it is. I mean, how could you miss the trade towers? I mean, not just one, but two planes.
Well, and it brings to mind, everybody hates those metal detectors at airports, and everybody makes passing through them almost a joke these days. But clearly, it seems that something is going to change if you can make this kind of statement and kill as many people as are likely to be dead in this kind of scenario.
Yeah, John, we're talking about terrorism. No matter how this turns out, this is going to be a day that's going to live in infamy. And, it's going to cause changes in terms of, if it turns out that terrorism in terms of security like this country has never seen before.
President Bush is about to speak. He's in Florida at what was supposed to be a joyous event at an elementary school. Let's listen in.
Today we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
We are going to be looking at an enormous death toll. 50,000 people work in those two buildings.
Son Churchill on you.
John Fund from the Wall Street Journal is on the phone with us. John, were you in the area when the planes hit?
I was across the street in my office building.
What did you see? What did you hear?
I heard an incredible sonic boom and looked up, and there were already much smoke and flames pouring out of the building. And about 15 minutes later, of course, the second sonic boom, which of course would have been the second tower and the second plane.
What about injuries, John?
Well,
can you tell us?
The most terrible and heart-rending thing about this is, about 15 minutes ago, bodies started dropping from the top floors of the tower closest to the highway, about at least 5 or 6, and it was absolutely terrible. Obviously, they had two choices: to be burned in flames or to leap and end it all. It was quite tragic.
Let me bring into the conversation David Asman, my colleague.
Yes, John Scott.
David, what can you tell us?
I just want to
give you some late-breaking information. Perhaps one of the things that is of greatest fear is that there is yet another terrorist attack since those two plane crashes happened within 20 minutes of each other. Well, all of Manhattan has been sealed off. This is probably unprecedented. Of course, all of this is unprecedented in this dastardly occasion. But Manhattan has been sealed off. The Hudson River bridges and the tunnels have been sealed. Clearly, there is an attempt right now to thwart any further act of terrorism, act of violence against the people of Manhattan. So Manhattan is in a lockdown. We are hearing right now of another explosion that has taken place at the Pentagon. We have the heart of the financial district of America being attacked. Now we understand that there is an explosion, there has been an explosion in the Pentagon, the heart of the military command center of the United States of America, John. It can't get much worse than this, let's hope. You gotta believe that it has happened again. Another large airliner, perhaps hijacked, perhaps part of some widespread plan, apparently slamming into at least the area around the Pentagon. They have not struck at America. They have struck at some individual places in America, but this country will go on. I want to go to our Washington managing editor, Britt Hume, who has the outlook from the nation's capital. Britt, this raises all kinds of questions about America's response, and I guess that a response is not going to be immediate, is it?
Well, whether it is immediate or not, the one thing I think we are seeing, John, is this series of evacuations from various buildings around Washington. And I think it's important to say that we don't know and have no reason to believe that the White House, for example, was facing any immediate or imminent threat. The same is true on Capitol Hill, where it appears they will be evacuating the building up here soon. Nothing has happened at either of those places. This, of course, though, John, I think this is one of these days where we can say that things will not again be the same in the United States of America. This is the kind of terrorist attack that is the nightmare that experts and others have warned about, but some of us may have thought really could not happen on such a scale. This is quite remarkable.
As we watch these pictures, the World Trade Center, 110 stories, literally starting to fall.
I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car. I had to go find people who need help. I don't think I'm one of them. You okay, sir? Okay. Can I just get a toot off your respirator?
We was inside the building.
You were inside the World Trade Center?
Inside the building.
Doing what?
Getting ready to go upstairs to search, and the floor gave way. The whole building collapsed on us.
How did you guys get out?
Just found our way out, struggled our way through.
Walk towards the light.
Walk towards the light.
We walk towards the light. That's all we did.
Hello?
Yeah, David Lee, what can you tell us?
John, the scene is horrific. One of the two towers literally collapsed. I was making my way to the foot of the World Trade Center. Suddenly, while talking to an officer who was questioning me about my press credentials, we heard a very loud blast, an explosion. We looked up, and the building literally began to collapse before us. There was debris falling, I'd say at least 3/4 the height of the building. People within the entire perimeter began literally, including myself, which is why I'm out of breath, to run for our lives.
Those steel girders, strong as they are, had a lot of weight to support, and apparently, I'm not a structural engineer, but I'm just guessing now that they gave way. The loss of life here is going to be enormous.
May God help those who are there and the victims and their families. and all the souls that are lost today.
Can you tell me what you saw, what you heard?
So nothing.
You all right?
All right.
Guy, look at this guy. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This poor woman. Wow.
United 93, Cleveland, do you still hear the center? United 93, do you still hear Cleveland? United 93, United 903, do you hear Cleveland?
80 miles southwest of Pittsburgh, this United Airlines Flight 93 crashed.
From the size of the impact crater, it would appear as though the angle of descent or angle of attack had to be nearly straight in.
I think the pilot downed the plane in a remote area because, you know, there wasn't very many houses over there where it went down. And I don't know, it's really, the whole thing is just unbelievable.
This is clearly a national catastrophe. There will be some response from the White House. Let's go to Wendell Goler, who was traveling with the president in Sarasota, Florida, and find out what the latest is there. Wendell?
John, the president left Sarasota, Florida. Air Force One took off just a short while ago to convene a meeting of his national security advisors, including the vice president, the heads of the CIA, the National Security Agency, and the FBI, and also New York Governor Pataki. After the two attacks on the Twin Towers in New York, he was briefed by his national security advisor, Condoleezza Rice, who phoned him after the first attack. Mr. Bush was actually reading to some children when the second attack occurred. Chief of Staff Andy Card interrupted him, told him about the attack. It was clear at that point we were dealing with terrorists.
I want to bring into the conversation General Al Haig, the former Secretary of State. General Haig, at a time like this, how does America respond prudently, with the proper amount of caution, and yet with whatever force needs to be applied?
Well, first we have to know the full limits of this tragedy, and it's unprecedented, of course. But we have to stay, above all, united and calm and ready to take resolute action, which sometimes we have failed to do in the recent past, when the perpetrators are uncovered, and we have many, many indicators of precisely who they are. This was too broadly based a terrorist act to be just a few crazies. This is a terrorist movement, and we know where they're located today. And obviously, as a nation, we're going to have to take action against them.
Oh, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes. Oh,
When it comes down, we're...
all right. We do need to put it down now. I think we need to put it down now. Here we go.
America, offer a prayer.